So I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, ever since we started Lord of the Mysteries. It's about the cut content from the first episode. This video is from Annie News. He also covered the second episode, which I'll be watching another video, but we're gonna start with the first one. It's mainly because Lord of the Mystery has such a big world. A lot of world building is very technical to the point where the Dongwa doesn't have the time or the duration in order to include all the information. They kind of just go. And one of the biggest concerns with the first 2 episodes for a lot of people were the speed of it, how fast it went. It was crazy. But for me, I genuinely understood because we're also watching O'Neill's the O'Neill classes as well, which do a good job of explaining a lot of the things, the power system, the pathways, sequences, rituals, all of that fun stuff. It does a good job of giving us the actual knowledge and understanding from what we watch from the episodes. Even the chibis, even the chibi videos allow us to get more content and more slice of life, because we don't really get that many slice of life moments so far. Mind, we're on the 5th episode, but still. But besides that, we're gonna check out this video from Annie News. Check out the channel, support them, and sit back and let's get to it.
There was ever a series that needed to cut content to go along with it, Lord of Mysteries would definitely be it. That's not because it's impossible to watch without.
Let's see. I haven't read the novel at all since seeing the first one. I am only an anime watcher. A Dongwa, no. I never read the novel or anything of it. I usually rely on you guys as well to explain things that I possibly got wrong or miss on anything. So confused. Everything's so fast. The fast pace was an issue. The only thing I understand after watching this one was that psychosis. What psychosis feels like is a crazy comment. What the hell is this? One of the coolest things I've ever seen, and is the only thing that making me want to continue the show. I remember it's supposed to be confusing to new readers in this Dongwa only. My friend said the first episode very confusing. How true is that? I feel like it's intentionally. The fast pacing was an issue for a lot of people. I always just stop and go back to reread and try to understand to my best, as best as I can. But
it's just there's so much lore that the Dongwa can't possibly cover all of it. Like, whether it be Beyonders and Pathways,
that could also
the
be an issue.
mysterious kingdom Klein now finds himself in, the churches and cults, or the history behind all of it, every aspect is fleshed out in rich and overwhelming detail. Now, I know a lot of you might be confused with what you watched from episode 1, but I promise that sense of bewilderment is all part of it.
Yeah.
Just like how Klein is unsure of where he is, how he got here, and what's going on around him, we too are thrust into this world with no information whatsoever. Yes, the pacing is undoubtedly fast, but I think this video can really help to alleviate that. So, if you're looking to better understand Lord of Mysteries and see how episode 1 compares to the novel, stick around as this will cover all of that.
It's just been a minute since we watched the first episode, which, it's a nice refresher, but yeah, off the first episode, besides people having pacing issues, thinking about pacing issues for the first 3 episodes, I feel like it is also intentionally, it is intentional to throw you into the universe as well, with us being confused. Granted, a lot of people don't know what transmigrated means. I only knew about it because I got explained from a trailer. And some people they didn't get the luxury to watch it. But yeah. But besides that, we are meant to be confused, and things make sense as we continue with the story.
But first, if you're looking for a new RPG with amazing graphics,
more gaming from my gaming channel.
Episode 1, The Fool, covering chapters 1 to 14 from the web novel.
Damn.
Where the anime starts with a very brief description of Beyonders and Pathways, the novel begins immediately with Klein's transmigration.
Oh shit,
a
really?
Concept most of you might be more familiar with as getting isekai'd. His awakening was met with quite a bit of confusion since paralysis, pain, and headaches overwhelmed his entire body. He hadn't yet realized he wasn't Chou Ming Shui anymore, so the main source of his panic was thinking he might realized he wasn't Chou Ming Shui anymore.
Chou Ming Shui? Is his actual name Chou Ming Shui instead of Chou Ming Gui?
So the main source of his panic was thinking he might not be able to show up to work tomorrow.
Oh shit.
It was once his body finally allowed himself to move again that Klein would take in his surroundings then himself. Immediately he knew this was a transmigration he'd read about in so many novels before, so while younger him might have been overjoyed to be in a situation
never heard of the word
he'd always fantasized about,
the
current him just found it troublesome. Eventually his panic would subside, and it was soon after that memories of the original Klein would start appearing to him. He would learn all the general info we saw in the anime.
Klein already sent it to the Northern Continental Kingdom,
plus a bit of extra details regarding his family. So, his father was a sergeant who'd sacrificed himself during a conflict with the southern continent, a loss which would provide the compensation enabling him to attend private language school.
Oh shit!
This in turn laid the foundation allowing him to get into university, a period of time where his mother would pass away as well. That being the case, All Klein has left is his
Spence
elder
and
brother,
Melissa.
a younger sister, and the 2-bedroom apartment they stay in. They're by no means wealthy at all, but they are supported by their elder brother and his income at an import and export company. Now,
1.5
as a
pounds?
history graduate himself, Klein has a solid knowledge of the origin for all languages
Yeah, Phazak, the ancient language. It was that and Hermes.
in the northern continent, as well as the more rare Hermes language
Hermes.
more commonly used in ancient texts and praying rituals. This is the language the mysterious notebook was written in, but rather than have numerous bits be translated like Black Emperor or the Tudor Kingdom, the only line Klein read was the final one. As shocking of a statement as it was, Klein's attention couldn't help but shift towards the revolver. Reason being that if
Cocked
his
himself.
family was as poor as it was, then how was it that they could afford this weapon?
Fancy revolver.
Even the gas lamp was something far out of their budget, but that was a gift his older brother Benson saved up for.
Ah.
You see, because Klein's success would affect their family's future
Never
as a
thought
whole,
about that.
Benson had used his own savings in order to ensure Klein had the best conditions to study in. It was
That's a good brother.
negotiation
Holy
with the
shit.
landlord that resulted in this. This, however, was a gas meter, and it required one single coin to operate.
One
A
pence?
copper penny typically used as
One
the
pence?
basic currency for the Lone Kingdom. Klein would then see it was
I mean, that is crazy. The fact that you need to put 1 pence in order for the gas meter is crazy. It's turning the lights and everything. But damn, never thought about I never thought about them, their economic status of them, basically being poor. And then Benson, they have no parents. I mean, from his father's death, dealing with the Suffolk continent, he did get some money for him that allowed him to go to the Core University. They didn't think about the condition about the revolver in his actual place. To the fact, they consider the low economy, but they have such a fancy revolver in front of them. How did he afford it? But now we know it was Benson. It actually paints him in such a brighter light. Because at this moment, I do know that Benson makes 1.5 pounds. Because we did just watch the O'Neill class as well to know what his salary is. Damn, but shit.
still the dead of night.
Didn't
So
think about that.
that's when he figured he should clean up his room before his sister woke up. It was a routine trip to the bathroom, triggering another one of his memory fragments.
Yeah.
This time it was about his landlord, Mr. Frankie, and all
Frankie
the times
gets
he would
finessed.
inspect the bathroom to make sure no one was wasting anything. That's not really that important, but
But
what
still,
is are
it's
the
funny.
occasional memory fragments, as well as the fact Klein got a washcloth, then cleaned all the bloodstains from his former self-suicide attempt. He would then empty out the revolver, take in once again the ominous line he read, then go over all the questions currently plaguing him.
The gun
So
came from
it's
suicide,
pretty clear
suicide.
that Klein is rather insightful. He takes his
What kind of trouble could a history student graduate of humble origins get into?
time to let things sink in, then thinks about them carefully before coming to any conclusions. Most of his
Oh.
then thinks about
Why
them
was such a suicide method only leave behind this? I mean, there is a lot of blowback when you shoot your head. There's a lot of blood. Damn, really? I mean, because as far as I remember correctly, the Aurora Order gave them the Antigona's book in order to study it.
carefully
but-
before coming to any conclusions. Most of his questions weren't any he knew he
Yeah, that's
needed
an
to
effect.
concern himself with just yet, as the true problem now was figuring out why he was isekai'd and how he could return. There
lucky
were too many
Chapman.
things back at his old life that he didn't want to leave behind.
Oh shit!
This triggered the last memory he had before he got here, and that was his attempt at Chinese divination. You see, as someone who
Yeah.
was terminally online, Cho had purchased a book on the arcane thinking it would help him improve his posturing on the internet. It really didn't help at all, so for a while he just left the book tucked away in a corner. It was when a spree of bad
We
luck
saw this on
started
TV.
plaguing him for about a month that Cho would put
Yeah, we
his
saw this.
divination knowledge to use. He would go and attempt what's known as the luck enhancement ritual.
Look enhancement.
The steps were exactly as we
Enchantment.
saw in the anime, plus a chant a bit more complex than just the
Blessings stem from the mortal Lord of Heaven and Earth. Blessings stem from the Sky Lord of Heaven and Earth. Exalted the Dirge.
celestial worthy.
Slash the word there.
Klein had actually said the accurate version in this scene here, but for some reason it just wasn't translated properly.
Crunchyroll using the eyes.
In any case, it was
Crunchyroll
once the
using
4
AI
steps
subtitles.
were taken and the chants spoken that 5 minutes was all it took for the luck enhancement to take effect. Well, nothing happened after 5 minutes for him, but his transmigration did occur that exact same night. Considering that's more than just an unlikely coincidence, Klein decided he would try the luck enhancement ritual
Then
again.
again with the bread.
Thus why we see him buying all the bread the day after.
He's the bread.
It was for the time being, though, that Cho would attempt to discover more about himself. Since Klein's memories were partially available to him, he could sit down and recall whatever fragments were there. The thing is, a lot of the more pertinent things weren't. His memories were like shattered glass, missing pieces all throughout. He couldn't remember how he'd attained the revolver, whether he'd been killed or killed himself, or even the meaning behind any of the words in the notebook.
We talked about
he
suicide
also couldn't remember much about his university life, but what he did know was that he had an interview with another university's history department.
Mr. Isaac? No.
Since he'd just graduated from the Koi University, his mentor had given him a recommendation letter for 2 other ones, one of which he would be interviewing at for a lecture position in just 2 days. It was a position that, if offered, would boost his family's socioeconomic status way higher.
Compared
not a
to
better
his
life,
but maybe
of
a
just
simpler
over
life.
£1 a week, the lecturer's position gave almost quadruple. So this was an opportunity that could change all their lives for the better. Now, Melissa's entrance after would also carry quite a bit of information too.
This does have a
since
transition
it's here
issue
we learn
again
the
too.
ties between Lowen's education department and religion. In the past, Sunday school was offered by various churches, but in an attempt to mitigate conflict and maintain religious neutrality, the kingdom enacted a basic education law. Rather than have the Lord of Storms, the Evernight Goddess, and the God of Steam and Machinery all compete, the kingdom instead established public schools. I don't expect those titles to have any meaning to you right now, but it does introduce the idea of multiple churches and their influence over society. In any case, Melissa herself aspires to be a steam mechanic.
I do wonder if public schools work the same way as it does for us, where everybody's free to attend. Anybody's free to attend. You could go in. You could go inside and attend. I mean, the churches do have the churches do play a big role in this society because everybody has. They even police their own sections as well. Like in spoilers for episode 5 for those who haven't watched episode 5. Spoilers ahead for episode 5 as well. We do work with the Punishers and the Machineries. Yeah. I know the Punishers are from the Church of Storms, and the Machineries are from the Steam and Machineries.
A passion also supported by her older brother Benson. With the tuition that was more on the costly side, Benson would have to work overtime and take jobs that were a bit more dangerous. It's for that reason we don't really see him, since work has kept him more or less preoccupied. For those wondering why Klein doesn't help out too, well, as a commoner very far behind in the university curriculum, it takes all his time just to keep up with it.
He needs to focus on school.
Where all the other students learned the origin language young, Klein's first contact with it was here. That being the case, studying was pretty much all Klein did.
We can see all the books and everything.
What Klein picked up here was the most valuable item his father left behind, but due to its secondhand nature, it would often malfunction. Melissa, being the aspiring mechanic she was, often needed to fix it herself. It's a feat we see her do once again here. She would then leave to attend her classes, a walk which normally took about 50 minutes. There was the option to always take a horse carriage, but due to its costs, she decided against it. A quick bit of lore included shortly after this is that days and years function pretty much the same here. The reason days are split the way they are here, though, is directly due to the influence of religion. You see, there were 7 Orthodox gods carrying influence over the northern continent, each of which I assume get a day of their own. Next came an explanation to the Lowen Kingdom's currency system, but due to its confusing nature and grossly uneven denominations, I'll give it some time to see if knowing about it is actually worth it. For now, all you gotta know is that Klein and his family are broke. Klein also has an unnatural passion towards money, so the man spent a whole minute admiring it before finally setting out to spend it.
The beautiful cash.
Now,
it'd be like that,
at first he was hesitant to bring the revolver too, but considering it was the only defensive weapon he had, Klein figured he could at least use it to intimidate someone. Why would he need to do that? Well, his neighborhood was by no means classy.
The ghetto.
The streets were filthy and the poor and starving were everywhere, so the odds of there being thieves were actually quite high. Even more so with all the children getting exploited to become them. It was after Klein had purchased the bread that a trailing figure wouldn't be what sent him into the Tarot tent. In the novel, he would just stumble upon it by chance, then decide to take part since the origin of Tarot here was different than how it was on Earth. You see, not only did Roselle create that, along with all the other inventions Klein mentioned, he also invaded nations, brought others under his protection, and made them all bow down to his own empire.
My bad, Rosa. My bad. My bad. You cooked. My bad. You cooked. We do have another set of tower cards that Rosa had. What's it called? It was blast something.
Create that, along with all the other inventions Klein mentioned. He also invaded nations, brought others under his protection, and made them all bow down to his own empire.
Rosa conqueror.
It was from this the Church of Craftsmanship would receive its first public holy revelation, changing the god of craftsmanship to the god of steam and machinery.
Ah, they were the god of craftsmanship. Oh shit, alright.
I wouldn't get too caught up on what any of that means, but would instead just focus on the fact Roselle was the one who caused it. He also created a fleet that discovered a route to the southern continent, leading to the beginning of an era of colonialism. The year 1198 was when he was finally betrayed, assassinated by a combination of forces from a rebelling church and the former royal family known as the Sauron family.
Well, not Sauron.
Such was the knowledge Klein flooded himself with, leading to his interest in the tarot cards. He was also intrigued by the lady herself, curious to see if she could divine that he was a transmigrator. The ritual itself was pretty much the same, but the number of the Fool card is actually supposed to be 0. To Klein, he assumed this symbolized a fresh beginning and new possibilities, but that was based off a very basic understanding of tarot. It was before—
Honestly, I still think this scene has so much significance. I mean, yeah. Him becoming the Fool. I'm not sure.
Or he could find out what it really meant, though, that the real fortune teller would interrupt and stop them. Klein would then leave since the ritual was no longer free, purchase the rest of food, then head back home to complete his own ritual. He decided he would do it first in his own language, then should that fail, proceed to do it in the languages native to this world. So, with a whisper, a chant, another whisper, and a meditation, Klein would complete the 4 steps of the luck ritual, then quickly be overwhelmed by the sounds of whispers.
And then you go into the
He
Great
could
Fog.
neither understand nor distinguish what any of the voices were
Oh
saying,
yeah, this shit goes
but
crazy.
what he did know was that the pain of experiencing it was unbearable. It was once that pain finally subsided that Klein would find himself surrounded by fog. It was an endless gray fog dotted with countless crimson stars floating in the distance. 2 of these stars he accidentally touched, leading them to burst open and empty both his mind and spirit. On the other side would be Audrey trying to awaken this royal heirloom, while Alger would be in the Sonia Sea holding a relic of his own. Both items would envelop their holders with a crimson light, sending them to the same gray fog where Klein was at.
Into the divine realm.
This much we already saw, but what we didn't see was Klein's deliberation between his 2 options here. He could either feign victimhood, hide his identity and gain their trust, or maintain his mysterious persona and probe for valuable information. There was little time to actually make this decision, so Klein decided he would exploit the psychological state of those thrown into such a situation and use that to gain the greatest advantage for himself. He couldn't quite make out who exactly he was talking to, but he figured the stronger he got and the more he understood what this domain of his was, eventually he might be able to see through the fog. For now, the roles were made absolutely—
The Gray Fog right now is still a mystery. The Gray Fog is it's a huge mystery still. But yeah, he does make that choice and becomes a Fool. Pretends to be the Fool here.
Absolutely clear. Here they were the visitors and he the master. To Klein, their image was nothing more than a projection from the stars he had touched, creating what he could only assume was an intangible connection only he himself could grasp. That's why he made it clear they could leave whenever they wanted, since with him being the one in control, he wanted to show he carried no ill intent towards them. This made things a bit more comfortable for Audrey, allowing her to open up and ask her question of how to become a Beyonder. A Beyonder wasn't someone the average person would probably ever meet, but they did exist, whether in courts, tribunals, execution agencies, or other organizations.
Big ones.
They were still fighting like how Alger said. It's just there's a lot less of them compared to the number that existed during the early years of the Iron Age. A lengthy period of time dictating the current and ongoing era of the 5th Epoch.
The 5th Epoch.
If Audrey wanted to become a Beyonder in this day and age, then all she needed to do was join a church. That was the first step towards doing so. This typically involved losing her freedom though, so the only other option was to seek out royal families or nobles with a history branching 1,000 years into the past. That, or seek out some of the more evil organizations hidden in the shadows. None of these were to Audrey's liking, so her inquiry into other options would lead Alger to reveal his own solution.
2 sequence potions.
The 2 sequence 9 potions he himself possessed. These potions were the only way
the
people could become
spectator?
Beyonders, and the name of said potion
Hangman?
usually coincided with their core characteristics. That being the case, for the first potion known as the Sailor, this enabled one to have incredible balance, granted immense strength and illusory scales under the skin, increased proficiency at swimming, then greatly enhanced one's mobility under.
So basically, you kind of become like Aquaman with the Sailor. You increase balance, you got some strength. You become like Aquaman. Illusory scales, though.
Water. So, for the person who ingested it, they could easily swim like a fish without equipment and just as easily last underwater for at least 10 minutes.
You can chill in the water,
Such were the powers that came with the Sequence 9 potion
and
Sailor.
then go be a sailor to
Spectator granted an exceptionally sharp mind and observational
oh my god.
abilities.
I know this was a big ass fiasco when the episode 1 came out. This is when everybody was in the conversation talking about audience being mistranslated.
So the digestion of this would allow its user to easily read people. Whether it's through their emotions or conduct, a person's real thoughts would always be on display for them. The key warning with a potion like this, though, is that once a spectator, you can only ever be a spectator. They were words that didn't really go to sway Audrey, though, so without hesitation, she would express her interest in the spectator potion. The deal was that in exchange for 100 milliliters of ghost shark blood, Alger would then give Audrey the formula for it.
So she actually bought it.
Neither had any concerns the other wouldn't follow through, since under the eyes of the fool,
it wasn't even
they felt assured. Alger would then give her the location to which she needed to send the shark's blood to after.
Oh shit! So it was actually like a form of transaction because she gets it. Like she just gets it. We don't know, like she paid for anything. I mean, Susie also drinks it from it, but damn, you gotta go to Rincy Bar for like
which he would dictate the formula's potion to her here. Now,
and we also found out
just for show, which he would,
and we also find out that potions also have formulas. They actually have ingredients you need to get as well.
Dictate the formula's potion to her here.
We don't think about it. We think about everybody has potions already made.
Was rather ingenious with the way he approached all this, since the offering of his services wasn't just for show. No, since these gatherings were something he was pulled into without consent, if more were to happen and he couldn't refuse, then the best thing to do was reap as many benefits as he could. He'd already secured a resource that was rather difficult to obtain, and that to him was just the beginning. So, with their combined backgrounds, resources, and information networks, Alger believed he could get quite a great deal from these gatherings. Klein had no problem accepting these gatherings either, since already they've shed quite a bit of light on Beyonders and other secrets.
Yeah, you get it.
So, if he was truly dedicated to figuring
Alger got some benefits from this whole meeting as well. It's not just him being there as well. I mean, we know Klein is here for information. Which he does get information, but
out how to get back
it's beneficial.
Home, getting as much information as possible was always a positive, even if it did put his own secrets at risk. Now, with this gathering coming to a close, the founding of the Tarot Club would lead to insight on the tarot cards themselves. Just like in our own world, tarot cards here didn't come equipped with the power to divine the future. No, the divinity of such things came from the person themselves. Everyone has something spiritual, allowing them to attune themselves to the spiritual world, and it's the tarot cards that help people interpret the signs they receive from it. Most of those signs will go unnoticed, but for those that aren't, it's divination tools like tarot cards that will help you understand them. The cards Roselle made are a whole separate thing, each representing an unknown power and one of the 22 paths to the divine.
Yeah,
there was mention of it originating from what's called a blasphemy slate, but these are all concepts we'll learn more about in the future.
It's a whole different set of tarot cards. I do hope we can dive into.
And Klein would chalk up his experience as an incredible convenience. With its ability to communicate with others wherever and whenever, Klein would describe the Grey Fog as something akin to a social networking platform. As for the guests Klein just hosted, they actually got a whole chapter depicting things from their end. It's some side character development that could still come in the future, so that's something that we'll leave for later. I think this is a pretty good place to stop, so I'll be sure to continue the series with the rest of episode 1 next week. If you liked learning more about the show and want to see more, then be sure to leave a like and let me know down in the comments.
Of course, check out any news, any news videos for these videos, of course. Oh shit, we also gotta check this out. This is something I do want to cover, because Sacred Kingdom and episode 2. But besides that, I mean, a lot of the information we received here, I mean, it is more fleshed out. Especially with Benson and his actions, what he's done. I feel like episode 1 from based on this video, I feel like episode 1 got a lot of maybe slice of life, more of an understanding of where Klein is at and his position in this world, where he actually isn't, you know, in this world. Because I feel like we skipped about, you know, his future, his family, is, you know, all of that is basically just glossed over completely. Yeah, because you don't really get to settle into the fact that, you know, this family sport. Benson is the greatest brother ever, doing what's possible to take care of his brother. You know, Klein is a very studious person. I mean, we know Klein is intelligent. We know Klein is actually very intelligent, but he's very studious. He has more opportunities in universities. You know, the simple things, like we don't really get to flesh the characters out in that kind of aspect. It just glosses by. But then, like, literally, by the end of what, episode 1? Yeah, but literally by the kind of episode 1, he gets recruited to be a Beyonder. It's episode 1, episode 2. I think it's episode 2. He gets recruited to become a Beyonder officially. One of those 2 episodes. But you know, we go straight into becoming a Beyonder. Klein working under the Nighthawks completely. Going straight to it with no explanation and anything at all. The whole section regarding the gray fog with the meeting, it just happens. Not happens, but like, you know, we get into it once he tries the Lunky Harassment again. We get into it. You do get the sense where, I mean, we do know from Klein's perspective, because that's where we really watch the show from, is that it's all about getting information. He wants to learn more about everybody, get information about this world, and now inclusion of Beyonders. We do get the perspective, that second half perspective from him. They do show in the Dongwa, where he gets to see both of them, Augur and Audrey. But we don't know. Well, we don't learn about, you know, Augur also getting any getting benefits from this meeting as well. The fact that him and Audrey have actual exchange, an actual exchange between the both of them in order to give Audrey the spectator potion, the sequence 9 spectator potion that was excluded, which is crazy. But it's like, you know, it's like small things that help develop the scenes even more. It also develops, you know, character relationships a little bit, a tiny bit. It slowly builds them up. I mean, especially for Benson, you know, because Benson gets introduced by the post-credit scene of episode 2, and that's pretty much it. You don't get to know anything more about Benson at all, which is crazy. But like, you know, how he's actually such a big part of their lives now since their parents died. He takes care of both of them. Like, it doesn't really settle in. Like, even Klein or Joe and even Klein asking, or Joe, once Joe transmigrates into Klein's body, asking the crazy, you know, the simple questions that you don't really pick up on unless you actually question. Like, again, them being, you know, a poor family, having such a fancy gun. I mean, the fancy equipment was because of Benson putting money in, which we don't get to know again because we don't know shit about that. We don't know shit about Benson to the next episode. Not even like, we don't get that. Like, again, we don't get that much information regarding Benson at all. Also, to talk about, we get to dive in a little bit more about Roselle. I mean, we do know about the blasphemy slay, which are other set of tower cards that he has. About him also, you know, him having basically on the full-on conquest, you know, conquering other spots, other nations, you know, basically forming a big one. Him changing the god of craftsmanship to the god of steam and machinery, which doesn't hold, you know, it's a small detail, but yeah, you know, it adds a little more flavor to the world. Because right now we just know about the god of steam and machinery. Education system as well. We dive into a tiny bit about the education system, how, you know, it basically kind of adopts our system a little bit. There's also Sunday school as well for the churches. How the churches play influence certain areas. They have their own things for certain areas, which you kind of, after episode 5, you kind of do get that sense. You know, they have their own, because we know they have their own policing force as well. So they have their own public systems, their own school systems, education system, but they have their own education systems. So like, bro made a public school, you know, instead of everybody fighting for their own, you know, we will have our own the same week. Everybody falls to Monday to Sunday. I was also going to talk it up to Roselle being, you know, also, because we know Roselle also transmigrated to his universe. I was going to chalk it up for him trying to take, you know, our own personal education system into this world. Well, by that, I mean the scheduling mainly. You know, Monday to Friday or Saturday, whatever you have school. That's what I was talking up to. But I do love how it's also based on the days of the week are also based on the different gods, the 7 gods as well. All the gods have their own days. But there's a lot of small information that, you know, gives more. I feel like it personally gives more flavor to the universe itself, to this whole world. Like, granted, you don't need it. Like, you don't really need it if you're on. Like, you don't really need it if you need it. but it does help you. It does add more, like, again, it adds more flavor to the world, because you kind of always like this and that, like the money, like again, we just watched O'Neill's class part 5, which covers the money, the convergence of the money as well. And it's like, damn, it's pretty cool, because we understand that. It's that small details. This is mainly to get yourself immersed into the world more, which I always appreciate, which that's where we're covering a lot of the things for this. But also some of the, there's also some things cut out for the characters that it further helps you understand the characters and make you, and further establish the relationship between the characters as well. And you also have your favorites. You can start going close to certain character. You can like them here and there. I do want to dive into more of the tower cards. Because I still have speculation about Klein being the fool, about Klein receiving the full tower cards. Like, is that your actual pathway? Or is that a sequence that you eventually reach? Like that, I have that kind of questions. Because even his pathway symbol, the pathway constellation he has behind him, I think episode 3, 4. I think it was 4. Even there, like he's not familiar with it. We're not familiar with it. Like, does it evolve? Is that your actual pathway symbol? Is it? Like, I do have a lot of questions regarding that still. But again. Yeah, it is. I mean, again, also some of the things that were changed, it was because of Crunchyroll using AI subtitles, especially with the lucky enhancement rituals. Subtitles were fucked up there. Melissa was fucked up there too. But yeah, we talked up to that. But again, I do have a lot of questions regarding a lot of things that probably get answered later on. That probably won't be that are meant to be unanswered. So we get to that point in the story, like the purpose of the Great Fog, the use of the Great Fog, not the use of it, but like the Great Fog being there. Like, what is the Great Fog truly? Also Roselle and the Blasphemy Slate. I do want to dive into more of his thing as well, to the other tower cards. And yeah, but other than that, like, I'm really enjoying this universe. Like, I honestly enjoyed this video because it adds more flavor. Even though a lot of things on this episode, on this video, I kind of knew already, because you guys have clarified this in the comment section, which I'm also grateful for you guys. Thank you guys for doing that. But again, including a lot of information and details that it just adds more flavor to the world. It just adds more flavor to it, and it adds appreciation to it, especially to Benson, bro. I feel like the anime did Benson dirty, not taking care of his family, bro. But besides that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to check out my Lord of Mystery reaction videos on my channel, of course, including O'Neill's class and the chibi versions. We're gonna cover the episode 2 concept video soon, and then also I'm also gonna check out the Overlord one. But again, thank you guys for watching. Now go check out any news to support this channel for these amazing content, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching.